All right, so we got major breaking news coming out of the UFC. So Dana White is officially changing the policy having to do with fighters fighting each other backstage. So fighters, fighting at a fighter hotel, fighters getting into brawls, at the events, etc. Like that's no more. He's not dealing with that anymore. Is that what he said? Yeah, isn't that what he said? No, that's not what he said. I swear, he said that he's sick of dealing with all the BS with all the people fighting backstage at the hotels. Oh, yeah, no, he said that. And then he said he was going to effing attack someone if it keeps happening. Yeah, he said that. So why are you saying that he's not changing the policy? Because previously guys fought all the time and it didn't, not only did it not seem to matter, it seemed like they would actually get rewarded for that. Yeah, that's not the policy that's changing. So what was he talking about? He said that he's going to personally attack any reporters that ask questions in press conferences that are likely to incite guys into fighting in the hotels. Say that again? You heard me. He's going to attack any reporters that ask them questions that are meant to incite them into potentially fighting in hallways, staircases, backstage, etc. So we're acting like the fighters themselves are 6-year-old Wolverines. Pretty much. Yeah, the reporters asking bad questions. That's the problem. Not the fighters fighting each other when they're both over 30 years old. Got it. Now, before we get into this story, I'm going to show you guys some footage of some backstage fights that were just tremendously beneficial to the people involved. And I just think it's important for us to look at this because the policy of the UFC up until now has been very clear, which is if you get in a fight with someone who is a UFC fighter backstage or anywhere else, make sure you get it on camera so that we can promote a fight around it, right? Now, also, I just want to say this. As you guys know, I went to UFC 287 in Miami, and I sat in the, I don't even know what you would call it. It's not even a row. It's cage side. And it was literally the best night of my life. I can't think of a time that I've had a better time than I did last night. And Dana personally got our tickets. He got them from Mike McDaniel. We were there with Mike McDaniel. So I am certainly not going to use this time right now, less than 24 hours later, to, get in Dana's shit about a decision that having to do with his company. I can't help myself, though, in pointing out that I find this pretty absurd, right? So we're not going to talk about Kevin Holland and Masvidal, which is what this is all about. We're not going to talk about them. Like, hey, dudes, can you guys you guys have fights against other people? Could you not fight each other? No, it's the reporters who ask the question. Anyway, so we're going to get into watching this, but before we do, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. I greatly appreciate your guys' help. We're up like 250 subscribers today. I was feeling really down this morning, and we're way up now, and I owe that to you guys, and I really genuinely appreciate it. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that, and we will rock and roll. Also, there is no also. Watch this, dude, okay? I learned how to use OBS, so look at that. I just go like that. I just do that. I used to have a green screen, all kinds of craziness. All right, so let's watch what Dana says, and we'll talk more.
About Kevin Holland. I saw he was talking to you. I mean, no surprise, he's talking to you during the fight, after the fight. But it just seemed like a weird week all around. That kind of didn't want us talking to him about other fights. Well, I guess what happened with Kevin Holland? What happened to him?
Well, the reason I didn't want you guys talking to him about other fights is, guys, we're fucking 2 days before a fight. He's not fighting Jorge Masvidal. Whatever they got into, whatever. First of all, it creates shit backstage and at the hotels, right? When you guys ask them questions like that and they say something, we still got 2 days until the fight, and these guys run into each other backstage and everywhere else, and it's so disrespectful to their opponent. There's an opponent sitting up there that they're going to fight. And I just hate that shit. I get it. You want your fucking clicks or whatever it is you guys want to get, your little fucking moment that you can post, but I will fucking attack you if you do that. You know what I mean? It just causes a lot of bullshit backstage and at the hotel. And, but, it's like the time the stuff went down with Diaz and all those guys and Hamzat. These guys have fucking 20, 30 guys backstage. And just that shit just can't happen here. And,
okay,
and
so
guys,
I am going to say a couple things here. So, first of all, I actually thought for a second there that I misunderstood what his point was. And because of his point was, hey guys, there's a press conference right now, and George Masvidal, he's fighting Gilbert Burns tomorrow. And Kevin Holland, he's fighting Ponzinibbio. So why are you asking them about fighting each other and acting like these other two guys aren't there? It's like some rich guy who invites like some people over, and like some dude's there with his wife, and he's just like talking to the wife and acting like the husband's not there. He's all, yeah, you ever seen a boat? And the wife's all, oh my God, your boat? Gabrielle would never do that. She would know, like, oh, why are you talking to me and not my husband? Because she's a good girl. See, even these hypothetical make-believe guys, they know their place. Anyway, but you understand what I'm saying. It's like, dude, they have an opponent. That's super disrespectful to ask them about getting into it with other people. I agree with that. But that's not what he said. He's talking about controlling people getting into it at the hotel, getting into it in the street, getting into it backstage because they have these huge entourages. The reason I just find that hilarious is for two main reasons. Number one, okay, I get it. They're professional fighters, but they're not 11 years old, dude. Like, if the UFC started a policy where if fighters or their teams get into fights with each other and they get caught, they get fined. It's over tomorrow. It's literally over tomorrow, dude. The reporters asking questions. Hey, man, so it looked like you and Kevin Holland got into something, George. Could you talk us through the conflict that you guys had? It's like George's friends like broke bottles, like stabbed Kevin Holland's like friends in the neck. It's like the reporter asks a question about it. They're all, these fucking journalists, man. These fucking journalists. It's like, dude, I think the problem is these guys thinking it's okay to just fight everywhere. Now, listen, I'm all for some fights that help promote, or fights that help promote fights. But the idea that like the UFC doesn't like fights outside the cage, I'm just going to point out a couple things. All right. So like just as like one example, right? Just as like one example here. So George was told before his fight last night, the Gilbert Burns fight, he had lost 3 in a row. I love George. I'm not talking shit. He lost 3 in a row, and they said that if he beat Gilbert Burns, he was getting a title shot. And they said it was for Leon Edwards, right? So why would someone who had lost 3 in a row be in a title eliminator unless this...
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. You walked into that arena with a lot of boos. You walked out with silence. What does it feel like to silence the O2 Arena?
If anybody heard my interviews prior to this, I said I live for that. And that's to take the breath out of everybody so you can hear pin drops. You can feel the electricity when you're coming in there. And it's amazing to silence people. It's a drug that most people haven't ever tasted. Man's tried to duplicate it, but they can't find the recipe for it, So I'm glad I got the recipe.
Let's talk about that opening sequence.
Maybe not. If you shot, hey, come over here, say it in my face.
That's the welterweight champion right there. And Jorge Masvidal, who was going to get a title shot. He's going to get a title shot. It's almost like the UFC kind of incentivizes this kind of behavior. Almost. Can you guys think of any other, any other situations that ended up being good for fight promotion that the UFC didn't, reprimand anyone, when you would think that reprimanding would be very, very automatic? I mean, who wants to guess what this is? Raise your hand if you know what incident this is, because it's this one. You guys know. So yeah, you guys get the idea. Remember that? You guys remember that? Calling out a legal case. But as I remember it, the UFC used that footage to promote the Khabib fight over and over and over and over and over. So, I feel as though maybe sometimes those big fights, the big entourage fights, end up working out in the UFC's favor, and they clearly don't shy away from using the footage to promote fights. Let me see if there are any others. Anything else? Like anything more recent? I don't know. What's this? Oh.
Stop. Say something now, you bitch.
You're not about that life, kid. You're not about it, kid.
You're my bitch. You bitch of talk in interviews now. Say something now. Everyone playing gangsters now. Come here.
Hey, you little bitch.
I them both.
Yeah, it's ain't gonna happen. Trust me when I.
Remember that? Wait, how did that shake out again? Oh, that's right. Kevin Holland got a 5x pay increase to take a fight with the guy that he got into the backstage fight with. Weird. Gosh, there's got to be some other ones. This is so great. All right, so, it's really late. I've been up for 2 straight days. I mean, I'm sleepy, but like I was up real late last night and I really should be going to sleep. But I just found this particular story so hilarious that I had to do a video on it because, mostly because of the idea that the fighters are not responsible for fighting. If they get, he's like, dude, they got 20, 30 guys. Look, man, you can't be asking them questions. It's like, I mean, you could ask them one question, Dana, which would be like, hey, are you still going to fight if I fine each of you 50 fucking grand if you do? All you fighters under contract, I'm fining you 50 fucking grand if you guys get in a fight on UFC premises. What do you think about that? Well, I think I'm going to control my boys. Right. Yeah, I think so. So it's almost like they don't really want people to stop fighting. I think they just wanted that reporter to stop asking Holland and Masvidal things because they both already had fights, and it was actually dampening the promotion of the correct fights. I would say is probably what the problem really was. Anyway, but I am more than grateful. I like my gratitude to Dana this weekend is beyond words. I was going to go, like, he was right there with all of the, he came over to our section and he was talking to Mike and then he was talking to, but like, it's literally Mike McDaniel and like 6 all-pro NFL players, both the Bosa brothers, Odell Beckham Jr., a few other guys. Like, I'm forgetting someone really big I remember, but I can't remember his name. It's like, I'm going to like just walk in between. I'm like, excuse me, guys. I need to talk to Dana right now. I didn't want to look like a fan nerd, but I was really close to fanning out. So, but thank you very much, Dana. And let's keep the boys fighting, dude. It gives me shit to talk about too, because I am after them clicks, son. Peace. Subscribe, you guys. Subscribe.